So this is the family tree. John Owens and Elizabeth Evans at the top. Their daughter, Margaret Owens, marries William Davies. His son, David Davies, marries Elizabeth Roberts, who gives birth to Margaret Ann Davies, who gives birth to my mum, Lillian Kelly, who gives birth to me. So, the family tree starts with Lillian Freeman, daughter of John Freeman and Margaret Ann Davies. This is John Freeman. And this is Margaret Ann Davies, to the left of the picture. John was born around 1893, married in 1913, and died in 1962, Grey Road, Sunderland. John Freeman Sr., we know, was born in St Helens, Lancs, around 1871, which we can see from the 1891 census, and we know that he married Alice from Walker. They had 4 children, all in the Hebburn area: Catherine, Christina, John and Bernard. I know that he died between 1896 and 1901. This is the 1891 census, in which John Freeman can be seen living with Alice Freeman in Solo Street, Hebburn. Just read it more clearly there. 32 Solo Street, John Freeman, head. Alice Freeman, wife, living with his brother and niece and nephew, and there's his older sister Catherine and Christina. Of course, 1891, John Freeman wasn't born yet. And by the 1901 census, Hebburn, we moved down to 16 Collins Street. There we see Alice Freeman, widow, with Catherine and Christina. And there's John, son, aged 8, and Barney, aged 4. That's the 1891 census in the district of Hebburn. This is the marriage certificate. Registered in Sunderland, John Freeman to Margaret Ann Davies, and we can see there the 27th of December 1913, both aged 20. We've got he was a bachelor, coal miner was his profession there. 29 Stobbart Street, that was Margaret Ann Davies' address, and 21 Richmond Street, and we can see that's the address for John Freeman. And John Freeman, deceased, there was a labourer at the mine works, and Margaret Ann Davies' father, his rank or profession, was a coal miner. It is interesting there that John Freeman does put coal miner as his profession on his marriage certificate. That was 1913. This is a photograph of John Freeman in around 1913. See him there in his uniform. This is a copy of John Freeman's war record, downloaded from the website with the Durham Light Infantry with his war number. Some photographs of the Freeman family. Albie Freeman, around about 5 years old. And there he is again during his national service with a friend. And this photograph of him is believed to have been taken when he used to work for a printing company. And there he is again a bit further down with some more of his friends during the war period, his national service period. This is Gwen Freeman. And Edward. And Lillian Freeman. And this is Lillian Freeman a few years later with Gwen. This is actually Margaret Freeman, who was brought up as a sister but was in fact the daughter of Gwen Freeman. We're here at the Walker churchyard, not for a burial this time, but just as a point of reference. This is where the lady Alice lived and was from. This is Walker Cemetery. We're not here for a burial, we're just here because Alice Freeman lived in this area, and she was of course married to John Freeman Sr. This is Hebburn. I don't know where the original Gawler Street was, but this is where the original pits were. And this is where my granddad, John Freeman, lived when he was 8. The family were living in the area even on the 1891 census as well as on the 1901 census. So I'm 100% convinced this church was here at the time. Possibly even visited or attended by them as a child. John Freeman's father, John Freeman Sr., came from St Helens in Lancashire. And that's the only information we have regarding him. By the time John Freeman was 17, he lived in Backstarbard Street, where he married Margaret Ann Davies, my grandmother. I can just hear the control tower there of the new Segadunham Roman Museum just over the water, the Wall's End, which is not too far from where we've just visited a moment ago, although quite a way by road. Building in Frederick Street, where Lillian Freeman started our early married years. Opposite SCS, which was a furniture shop even in those days. This is Richmond Street. Marriage address John Freeman. Richmond Street. John Freeman's place, Grey Road. Grey Road where John Freeman lived his last days. This is the Sunderland Cemetery where John Freeman and Margaret Ann Davies are buried. And this is the Weeping Angel. We do believe that this is the general area of the location of the graves of John Freeman and Margaret Ann Davies. It is the location of the grave of Paul Kelly. Sunderland Cemetery. Top of the Davies tree, this is just a photograph of Lanham, Lanarm and Ilal, which is where Edward Davies and Margaret Davies were from. Here they had 4 children: John Davies, 1842, David Davies, 1844, Mary Davies, 1847, William Davies, 1848, and Sarah Davies, 1851. Ilal and Arman. Yoo-hoo! Exploring wheels. The chapel at Lanham Ilal. Very rural area where the great-grandparents were from. This is the census showing William Davies on it over in New Brighton in Wrexham, Wales. And this is them in Melodon, number 1 Chapel Place. You can see William Davies there. That's up in Melodon in Wales in the 1870s. Not only was William born in Melodon, but also David. This is Melodon, North Wales. David Davies and William Davies' birthplace.